My guest today is Cam Sleeper of Northeastern University, and he's going to give us an inside look into their commencement speaker announcement video. Welcome to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. I'm Jenny Li Fowler, award-winning social media professional, author, and podcast host, and a recognized voice across the social media marketing industry. Social media managers are navigating the wild, ever-changing world of higher ed communications, and I'm here to share the real stories and lessons behind the posts. Each episode explores the challenges, strategies, and untold moments that come with running social media accounts in today's digital landscape. Let's get into it. Hey, Cam, thanks so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jenny.
Right. Tell me more about your current work and how your social media team is structured at Northeastern University.
We are really blessed to have a large social media team here at Northeastern. I'm currently working as the senior social media video producer, which is a mouthful, but pretty much what that means is all the kind of outward-facing videos that you see coming from Northeastern social media accounts, I have a hand in making them. So I manage
You're the guy.
Yeah, I'm the guy. And so I manage our social media video team, which consists of me and one other person, as well as one other full-time employee. And I also manage our social media ambassadors, and they kill it on camera, being our face of our content.
Wait, are they your students? Are they student ambassadors? Do you pay, just quickly, do you pay them?
We do, yep.
Oh, amazing. Okay. And you actually report to the vice president, is that right?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I report to the vice president, and then we also have 4 other employees on our social media team that manage the day-to-day content and the monitoring side. And so we're lucky to have 6 full-time employees in higher ed working on social media. You don't hear about that all that often.
No, and kudos to your leadership for recognizing the value in having resources for social media. So that's amazing. I'm very jealous. I was also jealous of your recent commencement speaker announcement video, which I noticed. You learned that Hilary Duff was going to be your commencement speaker. As soon as you heard that, was your brain just buzzing? Can you talk to me about the creative process a little bit?
Yeah, I was really excited. I grew up with Hilary Duff watching Lizzie McGuire and a whole host of other movies. My sister is 10 years older than me, and there were not a whole lot of shows that could really bond us, but Lizzie McGuire had a lot of stuff that we could connect on.
So Lizzie McGuire was the time that you weren't like fighting over the remote? Is that what
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And so I was really excited, fanned out a little bit over Hilary coming to speak at our commencement. But then I had a lot of ideas, but I was also cognizant of I'm 30 and I was young when I was watching Lizzie McGuire.
Whoa,
so
you're young now. So you were a kid when you were watching Lizzie McGuire. Okay.
And so I really wanted to make sure that we were mindful of the audience too, and the audience that we were aiming for as our primary audience, if you will, which was getting students excited about this, our graduates. And so I really wanted to make sure that anything we did was accessible to a 21-year-old, 22-year-old, 23-year-old who maybe was familiar with her, but was not as aware of all the work she's done. And also to pique their interest, to get them maybe more excited about an icon for me, but someone that they may be less familiar with. And the reception has been really great. Students are really excited.
Having been a Lizzie McGuire fan, I feel like that gives you a great leg up in creating this video because you knew all of the inside content or inside jokes, if you will.
Yeah, and I think I definitely was familiar just from that kind of young exposure with the visual language of that era, which for those who are unfamiliar with the video that may be listening, it was pretty much a very Y2K-esque video of our mascot paws just jamming out in a dorm room, in a pink, bubbly, decorated dorm room before he gets a call that from our commencement speaker that reads Hillary Duff. So it's a really quick 35-second video, but we really wanted to convey the excitement and energy that we want commencement to have.
And we're going to link to the video in the show notes. So I definitely encourage everyone to check it out. But I think you're being humble. I mean, it was so good. Like even the phone call comes in from a flip phone. Not just that, like a bedazzled flip phone with the jewels. Like first of all, everyone's phone looked like that during the early 2000s, I feel like. And where you even found that phone, that's probably another conversation.
Oh, we made it.
That's amazing.
Our one of my colleagues, she spent, it must have taken her, I can ask her, probably an hour and a half of bedazzling.
It was like chef's kiss, like perfect. But so can you like talk about the creative process? Because this wasn't the first iteration or first idea. And talk to us about the review process as well. Yeah,
this was actually our third idea. We had a few other ideas that didn't quite pan out, and elements of each of our previous kind of iterations that we were mulling over and did a few test shoots for. A lot of those ideas found themselves in the final product.
Okay.
And it was a pretty, I'd say we started brainstorming in maybe late January or early February.
For them to bring you in early so you can think about creating content for the announcement, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Okay.
Let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
And to talk about just the general creative process I have to videos as a whole whenever I go into something. So I think that the creative process for me can really be centered around limitations that I have. So whether it is the times frame that we have to execute a shoot, or what's the best story we can tell and still hit that deadline, or even like the physical constraints, because a lot of the movement in the video and the very specific kind of small story beats, those were all guided by a dorm room that we did not see prior to an hour before filming. And so we had to think on our feet like really fast as to like how our camera work is going to happen in this smaller space, how our characters are going to move throughout the space.
So is it a one camera shoot? Do you primarily shoot on a mobile phone?
So for this, we use like cinema camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's just to provide like an overarching thematic look at how I use my creative process.
Yeah.
And so with this, we had a few videos that didn't pan out. And then actually while I was out, my team kept ideating and came on this rough idea of Pause jamming out in a dorm room.
And Pause is your mascot.
Pause is our mascot. And then when I got back the next day, I was able to just hit the ground running and take this idea to the extent that you see it now. Yeah. Which is, I think, a really true homage to the early aughts.
The editing and the production level felt really high. It's not just like, I know that you say Pause jamming out in his residence hall, and I can probably do that. I have an image in my head, but it has a higher quality than that. So did you do a lot of post-production or post-editing, or talk to us about that?
I'm a pretty experienced color grader. I'm a filmmaker by trade. That's what I initially was planning to go into. And there was a lot of editing work that I did, but I would say it all started with actually the lighting. And this is, I think, one tip that I would give anyone that is, whether they're filming on their iPhone, whether they're filming on a DSLR, whether they're filming on a professional cinema camera, like your lighting makes a world of difference. And that is what separates a video that looks amateur versus a video that looks professional.
Okay.
And so
that's a great tip. Yep.
Yeah. If you can learn about lighting and not just having a really strong light, but also thinking about the kind of natural light sources that you would have in the scene to make it feel real and feel lived in. So we had a few LED bars, like huge, they're like 4 feet long LED bars that we kind of used to like physically light the room pink and purple so that it had this almost glow to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a lot of like all in-camera stuff. I color corrected the footage, but I really didn't have to do too much to it. It looked really nice when I got to editing.
All right, time for a quick break to share about something big happening this summer. If you're tired of the same old conference buzz and want real playbooks and real momentum, you need to make it to Charlotte, North Carolina for Engage Summit 2026 this June 15th to 17th. Engage Summit is where you can take the next steps toward building the agentic campus with strategies you can start implementing today, workshops that sharpen your skills, and a community dedicated to transforming how higher ed supports and serves students. Whether you lead enrollment, student success, marketing, or tech, this is where higher ed stops talking about AI and starts implementing it. And the best part, Enrollify listeners like you can grab a ticket for 50% off. Yes, half off. Head to engage.element451.com and use the code Fowler50. That's FOWLER 50. Register now and build what's next. Now let's get back to the show. I wouldn't have guessed it, but now that you say that you lit it in those colors, like I can see that. And those things make such a difference. I have to say, you probably wanted this video to stand out, right? Even more so than your, like the ones maybe that you do regularly.
Oh, yeah.
And all of those details make such a difference. Actually, I've been saying for a while that commencement announcements are a huge opportunity for higher ed to shine, and that they should feel more like album drops. And I feel like you really nailed it with this one. So, like, what advice would you give to people who want to like capitalize on a commencement announcement, capitalize on the announcement of a commencement speaker, and just to make it really exceptional?
Yeah. I would say my advice is don't be afraid to take bold creative swings and also post a lot. We've done a few posts about this so far, but we have not even scratched the surface of our bank of ideas. So there's going to be a lot more content that we can use that really builds upon this, and we'll also probably repurpose shots from that announcement video for more stuff.
Yeah, I remember when we talked earlier, you said the launch is just the beginning, and you want it to be like a crescendo effect to the actual day. Can you, without revealing all your secrets or your goodies, can you talk about the idea of that?
Yeah.
And why that's important? Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously it's commencement season for universities is a really saturated time.
Yeah.
We, even though we're not necessarily like competing with other universities to get the most coverage, I'm not holding it against MIT if they get a really good video.
We're not going to outdo Hillary Duff. I'll just say that.
There's limited viewer space, right? And so we really want to just put our school's best foot forward and really, own the commencement season. That's always our goal. We don't always succeed, but we really try to have our ceremonies and have our speakers really stand out as a destination. And if you go to Northeastern, you can get a commencement ceremony like this.
To be really proud about it.
Yeah.
I actually really love that thought. Let's own commencement season. Like, I think that's very ambitious, and I think that is a great goal, like, to set for yourself. Like, but a lot of schools, like, they do an announcement and that's like it, right? Yeah. But you're like, no, let's not stop here. So give us a little bit of an idea of what you're planning or what other things you have in mind, and really what's the goal behind it? Yeah.
So we'll definitely be leaning more into the Y2K type theme. Mm-hmm. And this is still something that we're discussing and trying to figure out is what is that right balance? Because we don't want people to, before commencement even comes, be like, enough with the Hillary Duff posting.
You don't want to spam them.
We don't want to spam them, but we
want
also
them to be excited, right?
We want them to be excited, and we want them to be remembering, because especially if you put yourself in the shoes of these students, they've got a lot going on before commencement. Yeah. They're trying to finish their last semester of college, which can be difficult as well as emotional. And they're also presumably job hunting or post-grad hunting. So we just want them to remember what they have to look forward to and really just remember what this is all about.
I feel like all social media managers from different institutions were talking about your content. Congratulations. But I guess what I want to press upon is that this is not just shooting on your phone and just editing in CapCut, right?
Yeah.
To have this level of quality of video, of interest, it's really like a full-time professional videographer and editing like project, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I would also say for people listening, like it can be filming on your phone and editing in CapCut. It wasn't for this video, but I think that sometimes people get, in social media managers, especially if they're really starting to hone in on video as a strategy, they can overthink it and feel like, oh, I need this camera, I need this light, I need XYZ, I need to learn how to use this editing software. And it doesn't have to be. It can be as simple as filming it on your phone and editing in CapCut, because the story would have been the same. The quality maybe would have been a little different, but different isn't necessarily worse or bad. It's all about centering the stories. That's my true north.
I really appreciate that a lot. It doesn't have to be like this really expensive equipment or anything, but I guess what I was trying to get at was that it was those little elements like the phone and the lighting, and it's like the font that was added. And I know that those aren't just templates, right?
Yeah.
It's those attention to detail that really makes it stand out, and which is why we all noticed it. Takes a professional to be able to do those things.
And I think that all comes for me from just being observant. And I like to spend a lot of time kind of paying attention to these kind of stylistic points that can sometimes be passed up unless the kind of story calls for it. I will not use just basic CapCut text. Yeah. I will find a font that suits the story that we're trying to tell. I'll find a color palette that suits the story that we're trying to tell. I really like just like the history of design, graphic design, art design. And I think that paying attention to different eras of design services when I'm trying to create a Y2K homage or do something else.
Yeah. And you know what? If you're a one-man team, those templates are great. You don't have any time. Use them to your advantage. But I just feel like if you're just trying to do a video of this caliber, those details matter. So if you're trying to help, say, a social media team, like what advice would you give them if they're trying to convince their leadership, look, putting in resources and time to make a commencement speaker announcement that stands out is worth it? Like, how would you recommend that they make that case?
I would say, listen, this is our Super Bowl. This is the Tour de France of our season, of our fiscal year, of however you want to measure your success as a team. We should put everything we've got into making sure that our commencement season goes off without a hitch and is well received. This is the opportunity for your school to shine, academically especially. Like, you should put everything you can into it. And that's kind of like my ethos about like creation is I can be a bit of a perfectionist, but feel like you should never just do a job if you're not going to do it. And I think that this commencement speaker announcement, as well as our coverage, and I like to think every video I post, it's not always true, but I like to think that I'm doing the best I can on every project. And that is what I would recommend.
This announcement, the video, that one video actually led to a lot of earned media, correct? And a lot of attention. Can you talk about that a little bit?
We have a media relations team that does a lot of kind of behind the scenes work to make sure that we get these earned media hits. The video was mentioned in the Boston Globe, Yahoo News, Boston.com, and a whole slew of others.
When you do good work, it just organically creates earned media opportunities, which is always a plus for schools and institutions.
As well as a lot of influencers talking about this. Boston influencers, kind of millennial influencers. And so it was great to engage with them as well.
Yeah. And you never know. That probably brings more attention to Northeastern. Maybe students who've never heard of Northeastern is all of a sudden looking you guys up, right? And following you. So there's a lot of benefits to like creating a piece of content or a commencement speaker that is really good.
The one thing that I always say is I'm a transplant. I grew up in Michigan. And growing up in Michigan, I never knew about Northeastern University. And I think that based on their academics and with co-op and just the way that I learn, I'm a very hands-on learner. I think I really would have benefited from knowing about Northeastern. And so my goal is to make sure that all the other CAMs out there in middle of nowhere, Michigan, or anywhere else know that Northeastern is an option for them.
And
it can help.
I love that. Actually, I have a lot of the same philosophy because I'm from the Midwest as well. I'm from Illinois. And I always say I want Susie from Iowa or Illinois to know that MIT is doable for them.
Yeah.
So I love that. Cam, it was so lovely to talk to you. Thank you for talking about your incredible video with us. And
of course.
But before you go, I have to ask you one last question.
Okay.
Cam, what is your confession?
My confession is I haven't had a Twitter or X account since 2021. I have not touched that platform in nearly half a decade, and I have no regrets whatsoever. It has not impacted my job. Good riddance, in my opinion.
I love that. And yeah, that says a lot, right? You're probably not missing it at all.
No, I think it was probably bad for my blood pressure. So
I feel you on that one. Cam, thank you so much. And I'm going to continue to be watching Northeastern's Instagram to see what I can copy.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. This show is a proud member of the Enrollify network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow, so be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.